John Calipari may no longer be trolling the sidelines of Lexington, Kentucky, but that does not mean in any way, shape, or form that the University of Kentucky and their men's basketball program plan to take the backseat when it comes to recruiting. Mark Pope has landed his first commitment of the 2025 class. Stick with us. We'll fill you in. What's cooking? Welcome back into ESPN Louisville Plus. My name is Justin Sofer, and like Big Dog on the sidelines of Kentucky football, listening to Simple Man, listening to Simple Man, not Simple Plan. I don't think he's listening to I Do Anything. He's not listening to that. He's listening to a little Simple Man by Leonard Skinner, hyped up, ready to go. You know, there's no feed coming through from Mark Stoops talking to him during a game. He's just listening to that bad boy, and he's ready to go. He's hyped up. I'm hyped up because the football season's almost here. University of Louisville and the University of Kentucky will be playing here in the matter of weeks. And then the next thing you know, basketball season's right around the corner, which is really what we're going to talk about here in this video, because one Mark Pope has landed his first commitment of the 2025 class, and that ball is getting ready to start rolling when it comes to basketball and recruiting for the University of Kentucky. Before we do anything there, though, I'm going to ask you to do me a solid favor. If you could, smash that friggin' like button, take your little crusty Cheeto hand, just take it on down, smash it on down here in the bottom, hit that friggin' like button, do that for me right now. I really appreciate it. It helps our channel, it helps the videos do well, it helps us to continue to grow and bring you more and more content, especially as the seasons begin to build, and we will have a lot more content, a lot more fun stuff on the channel from there. And also, if you haven't already done it as well, most importantly, hit the freaking subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. You'll be able to see everything we bring to you each and every day. Now let's just get into it and let's talk about what happened today. Malachi Moreno, a 7-foot, 4-star big man from Georgetown, Kentucky, has committed to Mark Pope after visiting not that long ago, as well as having condensed his list just about a month and a half ago down to 8 schools. And of the 8 schools, some very interesting names are, of course, on that list. Obviously, the winning school out here right now, the University of Kentucky, came down at the end of the wire to pull this man in. Indiana was in the fight. Iowa was a couple other names, Illinois, teams like that were involved in it. But a bit interesting there when you look at that and you see the University of Louisville and the University of Arkansas were listed in this recruitment battle for Malachi Moreno. And I get it. I understand. I'm not going to go crazy with the concept of who was involved, how strongly were they involved, were they just added on there as a list to be, people do that, right? They put that in for the recruiting battles wins. We've already had controversy here when I talked about the idea of Ali Khalifa going to Louisville. Didn't expect it to happen, so I thought it was just going to be a easy little claimed win, whatever it is, whatever you want to say. But one thing we do know is that Malachi Moreno had offers from the University of Louisville and the University of Arkansas. We'll start with the University of Louisville. When Pat Kelsey first got hired from the University of Louisville, he had extended an offer to Malachi Moreno and seemed pretty interested in the player. Things may have died off since then, and I don't know if it was just on the player's part, if it was on the recruiting side of for Pat Kelsey to decide not to go after him. Who knows? But it seems like that has cooled off since then, though they did end up making the top 8 here just about a month and a half ago. So somehow they were still involved, or at least that's the perception when it comes to their recruitment. Then the next side is obviously the elephant in the room of Arkansas. Was Arkansas really involved when it comes to Malachi Moreno? Obviously, I know he'd been recruited previously by Eric Musselman, so maybe that's where that initial offer came from. But then obviously when John Calipari went down to Arkansas, that seemed to still be in play of sorts. So if you want to take this win, you celebrate this win. I don't give a damn at this point. Just don't celebrate your win. The University of Kentucky can say that they kept a guy from going to John Calipari. Whatever it is, who cares about semantics at this point? But Malachi Moreno, 7-foot big man, will be going to be coached up by, well, dare I say it, dare I call Mark Pope the next big man whisperer? Is he going to be the state of Kentucky's next big man whisperer? And I guess the University of Kentucky's next big man whisperer after Kenny Payne left, and then the time that he had at Louisville. Jesus Christ. It feels like the entire process lasted an eternity for all I can say. Anyway, the 7-foot big man seems to be a perfect fit for Mark Pope, especially given the amount of physicality he shows being able to finish under the rim and just overall imposing his will down down in the paint. The one thing that's yet to be seen is how he will develop as a shooter and how he will continue to develop his game outside of that. But of course, when you're looking at a big man like this, that seems to be a good thing that Mark Pope could really help to mold and develop him moving into the future. Most importantly, though, to me, outside of just when it comes to his physical play and his aspect, we'll cover that as well later in this video. I'm going to play a little bit of sound from our guy Cam Drummond, who was on with James Strebel on the roundtable for the Blitz. We'll play that to round this out and just get his inside perspective on what Kentucky is really getting with this player. But the most important thing to me is watching Kentucky be able to open up the recruiting walls, and now to see where will this lead to move Mark Pope into a position with maybe some other guys, as well as what does it mean for maybe some of the other big main targets that they were looking at? Will they look elsewhere, or will they be able to maybe kind of stack the room a little bit because of who Mark Pope is, maybe his ability as a big man to develop other big men? Maybe he will attract a lot more of that. Maybe we'll see how that pace of play really continues to develop down the line. And I'm interested to see how the relationships maybe Malachi Moreno will be able to develop and maybe get out there on the recruiting trail. I'm not going to try to do the thing where I compare Mark Pope to Chris Mack or guys like that. But what I'm kind of trying to say is when they got that first guy, that first recruit during their tenure at their new university, they're able to go out there, and now you're going to have a player out there who maybe has a little bit of charisma out there with the other players and trying to get them and convince them to come join this new project. Because one thing we do know right now is Kentucky's going to be a project. It's not going to be the University of Kentucky that we're used to. It's not going to be John Calipari, 5 stars here and there, and just killing it on the recruiting trail. You're going to get some good players like that. And obviously the money's there for that. But at the same time, it's going to be a different recruiting pool and a different project overall. Some more, I want to say long-term build, but kind of something of a long-term build. Now, here's the other aspect of that for me personally, because I look at it and a lot of the reasons that we were talking about pushing John Calipari out was a lot of the reasons for really trying to move on from the John Calipari era was we need to win and we need to win now. So how will Mark Pope be able to do that? It's difficult to say right now because we still have not seen any kind of gameplay or any kind of actual competition when it comes to Mark Pope. Unfortunately, because the last few seasons Kentucky have used up their international trips, we got to see Louisville play in the Bahamas against whatever competition you want to say it is. You still got to see what that team is going to somewhat look like and some of the style of play. I'm still waiting to see Mark Pope in this first new look Kentucky. And I'm excited to see how that develops and what this rivalry in general is going to look like for the Cards and the Cats moving forward. I'm going to need you to do me a favor. I need you in the comment section right now before we play this other sound. Let me know what your feeling is as Kentucky fans, or if you're a rival fan, whatever it is. How are you feeling about this new stage of Mark Pope in the University of Kentucky basketball program? Do you see it hitting a new level? Do you see it being a resurgence, or do you see there may be a bump in the road or two to get going here in the short term? Let me know that in the comment section down below. Now, without any further ado, let's get into what Cam Drummond had to say with my guy, James Strebel, and when it comes to the University of Kentucky and their basketball program now with the new commitment of Malachi Moreno.
Kentucky is going to make the final cut and be the destination for one Malachi Moreno. If that is the case, Cam, how big of a deal is that for Mark Pope, and what kind of a player will he be getting?
Yeah, certainly Kentucky is the expected choice for Malachi Moreno tomorrow morning when he announces around, I think, 11:30 at Great Crossing High School there in Georgetown. Anything that's not Kentucky would be a pretty big surprise. As far as talent level, this is definitely a player that, has the obvious size. He's at 6'11", I think like 235 right now, and really came into his own during his junior year last year for what was a very, very good Great Crossing team in terms of being just a lot more physical. He's a guy who can get into the paint, play above the rim, finish over either shoulder, has really nice post work, just really solid fundamental guy, rebounding, kind of push the ball in transition after he goes up and gets the ball off the glass. Anybody who got a look at him during the Sweet 16 state tournament at Rupp Arena knows that, he's a legitimate physical presence inside, and that was a bit of a change from the way he played in past years. So that was a big step up in his game. Now comes kind of the more finesse aspects that comes with being a big man in 2024. The ability to consistently make that outside jumper, the ability to have a bit more of a tighter ball handle, continue to work on his passing chops. So definitely a player that at this young age, as a rising high school senior, has the inside tools and is emerging as a physical presence, but also someone who has told me before that he envisions himself as a stretch five at the college level. So he's going to continue to try and work on ball handling and three-point shooting, throughout his season. And as I said, he's expected to become a Kentucky Wildcat commitment tomorrow. So you figure that kind of skill set, especially if he comes along a bit more with the shooting, with the ball handling, with the floor spacing attributes, that should slot in nicely to, what we think a Mark Pope offense will look like in Kentucky. If Malachi Moreno is to commit to Kentucky tomorrow, that maybe, shallows the talent pool a little bit, just from the standpoint of there's other power forwards, other centers in the 2025 class that Kentucky is involved in. You might, it wouldn't be a shock to see one or two of them drop off the radar simply because of a Moreno commitment. And Moreno is by no means projected as a one and done player, but obviously, you're a prospect looking at some of the top blue blood schools around the country. You're looking to see who's going where, how you project to slot in, stuff like that. But to your point, obviously, I think it's just important for Mark Pope to, I don't want to quite say it's a monkey on his back quite yet in terms of having a 2025 commitment, but I think sooner rather than later is going to be much better for everyone involved.
I agree.
Of showing that he can land a recruit, that he can land a commitment. Whatever happens afterward happens, especially given the news that things don't seem to be trending great for Kentucky in terms of Jasper Johnson, with Alabama and North Carolina being the two favorites in that recruitment now. But also just from the standpoint of this should be a slam dunk recruitment for Kentucky, right?
Right.
A kid who's from just down the road in Georgetown, a kid who's been to Kentucky numerous times, spanning two coaching staffs, a kid that took multiple unofficial visits to Kentucky since Pope has become the head coach this summer to meet with him and the coaching staff, a kid that Kentucky has also invested a ton of time and resources into following. They've watched him play in, I think it was 4 or 5 different states this summer at 4 or 5 different events. So, and not to mention a kid who had a ton of blue blood officials lined up for September. He was going to be visiting, North Carolina and Indiana and all these schools, and now he's canceled all of it to make his commitment just a few days into his high school senior season. So there are many reasons why, a Malachi Moreno commitment to Kentucky on Friday morning would be important, but I think top of the list would just be so everyone can take a deep breath, exhale, and Mark Pope can kind of, basically, finish the bunny at the rim, so to speak, in terms of getting what will be one of the easiest, from a recruiting standpoint and optically easiest commitments that he probably would be getting at Kentucky, since he's swimming in these big recruiting pools now.
A lot to be excited there for the University of Kentucky and for Mark Pope moving forward. Kentucky fans, the season's about to get started. Before you know it, it'll be October, and then we'll finally be able to see what these teams look like on the basketball court, and he will continue to develop it each and every step of the way. Stick with us, and we will keep you covered every single step and every day as the season goes on. If you could, do me a favor, smash that freaking like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. If you feel so inclined, you can follow me at Justin Sofro on Twitter as well. I'll see you guys next time.